I wanted to respond to some comments that I got about people who disagreed with me about sexuality not being a choice. Hi, my name is Dr. Natalie Jones. I'm a licensed therapist. And thank you so much for responding. But this commenter, and I'll just pick this one, because it's at the top, says sexuality isn't a choice. And so I had said that for a lot of people, it is not a choice. They were born being attracted to what they are attracted to. So they were either born gay, heterosexual, bi, what have you. And that is what I started out the previous post. However, I disagree with there not being any choice or being any variation from what the norm for me or what the norm for a person would be. So whether it be me or someone else. And the reason why I disagree with that is because I saw it every day when I worked in corrections, when I go to jails and do evaluations and things like that. There is a common phrase, gay for the stay, where people change their sexuality and they make do because that is what is around me. And that is what I am familiar with for the moment. And I've watched people do this regardless of if they had visits or not from their significant others. In fact, most of the people who were engaging in the gay for the stay were people who had wives and girlfriends and whatnot coming to visit them. So I would be watching them have relations with a man right here on the yard and then go out and kiss their wives, their girlfriends, their kiddos, and all in the same day, and it's nothing to them. These are men that openly identify as heterosexual. They do not view what they are doing as being homosexual activity. They do not identify with being homosexual. They do not even identify as being attracted to trans, even though some of them were living in full-blown relationships with trans. That is the problem that a lot of women and I'll say women, men have it too, but mostly women are having now with the down low culture. And that is why this is such a big issue, because you have men, and psychology tells us, American Psychological Association tells us that men who cross-dress, men who engage in relationships with transgender, other things like that, things that are considered taboo, they identify as being heterosexual. So outwardly to the public, and to their wives and the people that they're with, hey, I'm with you, but I'm on the down low and living a secret life with someone else. The very same thing occurs with women. You guys ate up my post about homoeroticism with women. Where I talked about how heterosexual women who identify as heterosexual can have attractions to other, their heterosexual friends, but it doesn't manifest as like general homosexual attraction, and so what women may find is that they're getting catty, they're becoming jealous and possessive, just like a lover will. And women have trouble like understanding what's going on, thinking that someone is just going nuts, when really you have someone that is sexually attracted to you that doesn't necessarily identify as heterosexual, and may not ever, does not necessarily identify as homosexual, and has never spoken about or ever even thought about it, maybe even to themselves, that, hey, I'm attracted to this person more so than I would like to admit. But their behaviors that are manifesting is one in which is very similar to a lesbian, albeit a toxic lesbian relationship, where you have that jealousy and that possessiveness, and I don't like you hanging out with anybody else, or I start to treat you differently when I feel like you've betrayed me in some way. And even still, people who have comments like this, you're ignoring people who want to explore, people who are becoming fluid and trying to figure themselves out. pan, demisexual, other people that may just be like, hey, I'm in an exploration phase. I am trying everything in which my appetite allows. This comment also ignores people who have gone through very significant trauma and have now switched sexuality due to trauma from having extensive trauma with one particular sex or gender that they were drawn to or that they were initially attracted to, but because of sexual trauma or other types of extensive trauma, they no longer engage with that anymore and no longer find themselves attracted to that anymore. Other phenomenons in which I've talked about on here, which have been lesbians until graduations, women who were lesbians until they graduated grad school or professional school, and then they say, hey, you know what, I want to have kids, I want to, seek the approval in the eyes of my parents. I'm no longer identifying with that part of my life anymore. And so they literally change identities and orientations. It is a phenomenon. It is out there, and I've spoken on this. And yes, you can also have people that were secretly attracted to something else, but they had to conform or become complacent due to parents, due to their culture and ideals and things like that. So none of that is lost on me. All I'm saying is that everything is not linear. It has to be this way or it has to be that way. And I think that's the caveat and a lot of trouble that a lot of women are finding themselves in dealing with this whole down low culture and other phenomenons and things like that, where they're trying to understand, they're trying to reconcile. I have people that are in my comment section getting mad with me about, or, just getting upset, not necessarily with me, but getting upset with how people are asking questions. To that I say, people are trying to learn, people are trying to understand. And I'm not saying, Dr. Jones is right and you have to believe me and it's my way or the highway. I certainly welcome conversation and discussion and opinions that are different from mine as long as it's respectful. But so much I find that people want to, whenever this topic comes up, which I have a good number of people who like, I love when you discuss the sexuality stuff. And then you have people that say, oh, well, you're a homophobe, you're this, you're that. I hate when you discuss it. You don't know what you're talking about. Whatever the case may be, I understand. I understand. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I'm like black licorice. You either like me or you don't, honey. And that's okay. And again, this is my experience and this is my training and this is my work. If you have other experiences, I'm open to hearing them, but I don't like the disrespectful, condescending undertones. That's automatically going to be blocked as soon as my TikTok is back up and working, because right now it's glitching heavy. I understand my opinions are strong and they're very different than most, and some people don't like how I speak and blah, 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 blah. I get it. But people should be welcome to have opinions that are different from yours. I don't like this thing on social media where people have become arbitrary keyboard warriors. You either agree with me or you're stupid or you're this or you're that. I don't really subscribe to that. So, feel free. But thank you so much for putting this. And, my response is not necessarily directed towards this commenter. No disrespect. I just wanted to respond based off of my experience, my education, and my training. And thanks so much.